This is the EOS Performance version 3 rear diffuser, and it is available for all 2024 and newer Mustangs. Now, you should be checking out the EOS Performance option if you're looking to really crank up the aggressive styling in the rear of your S650, while also making room for a quad tip exhaust system. Now, the EOS Performance here will combine a molded polypropylene build with that matte black finish and can be had all for right around the high $300 price point. Now, EOS Performance has really been cranking out some parts for the S650 here that offer a big time boost in appearance, all while keeping the price point relatively in check. And the same can be said for the diffuser that we have with us today. Now, the biggest feature is no doubt going to be that race car appearance, combined with the fact that this will give single tip S650 owners, basically non-active S650 owners, a way to add a quad tip system, but without having to cut or hack anything up. Now, aside from the quads, I really like the center section here, guys, as it does deliver kind of a hint of that GT3 styling while still managing to flow extremely well with the lines of the S650 rear bumper. Another feature will be the direct factory swap with your stock diffuser without the need for any drilling or permanent modification, which we are going to show you here in a little bit. Now, moving into construction, and you're going to find an injection molded plastic material which has been designed using OEM Ford CAD data, and the proof really is in the fitment. This thing fits like a factory part. Now, the material itself is kind of this smooth matte black here, which does flow pretty well with other exterior plastic found around your S650. Other highlights for the construction do include the pre-drilled backup sensors, which are very easy to just swap over and go. In addition to that, you also have spots for your factory reflectors and your factory reverse light here down below. Now, as far as your price point is concerned, well, the EOS Performance version 3 will land right around that high $300 mark, which does put this, I would say, in the middle of the pack when it comes to some of your other rear diffuser options currently on the site. Last but not least, let's talk about the installation, and the site's going to call this a solid 1 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter, taking you about an hour to complete from start to finish. But now, to give you a better idea of how this one might go down in the garage or driveway at home, let's throw it out to the shop for our detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Tools required for this install include a ratchet, Phillips head screwdriver, plastic pry tool, clip remover tool, an extension, 7mm and 10mm sockets. Today we're installing a diffuser on our Mustang, so let's get started. So the first thing we need to do is remove the 9 7mm screws under the middle of our bumper. Just take a 7mm socket and pull all of these out. Now, next to our muffler on both sides, we've got 2 clips. So take a clip remover tool and pop those out. Do that same thing on the other side. So now we're gonna hop in our wheel well. We need to take out a few screws and then 1 clip. So I'm gonna grab a clip remover tool. We'll start by popping that clip out at the bottom. And then kind of right above that clip, there's a pocket right here where there's a 7mm screw. So I've got a 7mm socket and extension to remove that. And I'm gonna take the extension off. We're gonna move up to right in the middle of our side marker here. There's another screw. And then we'll go up top where our bumper meets the quarter panel. We've got 1 more screw. It's gonna be hard to see. So now we can pull that fender liner back, and we've got 2 more screws right here. So I've got that extension and the 7mm socket again to pull those out. And then do that same thing on the other side. So now we're ready to pull our rear bumper off. So we're just gonna pop out our two sides. We're gonna pull it back a little bit. We still have a connector for our bumper harness right under our passenger taillight, so don't yank on it when you pull it off. So now just right underneath of our taillight bracket on the passenger side, push in on that black tab and pop your connector off. So now with our rear bumper removed, we're gonna have to do a little bit of disassembly to get our diffuser detached from our bumper so we can get our new one in here. So first thing we need to do is pop out this black support bracket here. Now it's gonna be the same on both sides. We've got a bunch of clips to remove. The only difference is on this side, we have the clip holding in our backup light. So I'm just gonna take a clip remover tool, start popping off all these clips. And then pop those clips off on the other side. And then right above our exhaust cutout, we've got this one clip that we need to pop out. We've got the same thing on the other side. So I'm just gonna get a plastic pry tool in there, pry back on that clip. And then do that same thing on the other side and we can lift this out. So now just get this around the wire harness and you can just pop it out. Next we're gonna pop out our parking sensors. Now it's important that these go back in the same holes that they came out of. We've got these labeled, we've got 3 lines and then 3 lines on our diffuser, 4 lines, 4 lines. Same thing on the other side with 1 and 2. So just press in on the tab on the connector, pop that out. And then we've got these 2 tabs that we're gonna need to pry back on to release our sensor. Do the same thing over here and repeat on the other side. Next we can remove our side markers. We've got a 10mm nut here, so I'm gonna take a 10mm socket to remove that, and then we're just gonna pinch in on this clip to pop the other side out. So now I've got a hand underneath, pinch that clip together and pop your reflector up. Do the same thing on the other side. Next we can remove our reverse light. So on this connector it has a white locking tab, so you need to pull up on that first and then press in on it. Pop that connector off. And then we've got 4 7mm screws. So grab 7mm socket and remove those. And then you can just pop that out. Next we can pop out these 2 white clips. So just take the corner of a plastic pry tool to push in on the clip and then just pop it out through the top. Do that same thing on the other side. Now on the outside corner of our bumper, we've got 3 screws here. It's gonna be the same on the other side. Grab a 7mm socket and remove those. And then repeat on the other side. So now we've just got all these little clips that we need to pop out all the way across to remove our diffuser. So you can just kind of press on them, pop them out. Do the same thing on the other side and then we can pop this out. So now with all of those clips released, you can pull up on your bumper and down on your diffuser and separate them. So now we need to start assembling our diffuser. I'm gonna start out with a bunch of these little U-clips that we need to put on to a bunch of different spots on our diffuser so that we can run screws into. So I'm gonna start at the bottom here. We've got 5 clips that we need to install. Now this is the piece that's gonna be mounting there. So we're gonna have our screws coming in from this way. So we need that little threaded portion of the clip facing down. So just slide these onto all the spots that have that little cutout there. And then we can lay this piece down and run our screws into those. So now we're just gonna lay that piece down. I'm gonna take my screws with flat washers and thread those in. And then we're just doing that same thing for all 5 of our clips. Now I'm just loosely threading these in until I have all 5 in and lined up, and then I'll go back and fully tighten them down. Now we're going to take some more of our clips for the piece that we just installed. Now these are going to be the ones that bolt up to the car. So we're going to have the threaded portion facing us if you have the diffuser in this orientation. Next we're going to install our side pieces. We've got these 2 slots that are going to go onto these 2 clips, and then we've got our holes that are going to line up here for our screws to go through. We're going to get the clips in first. And then we're using the smaller screws that are included in the kit and threading those in. Do that same thing on the other side. Now we've got 3 more spots on here that we're going to be installing our clips on. Do the same thing on the other side. So now we're going to take our bumper and we're going to lift it onto the diffuser, lining up all our clips, and then we're just going to press it in to engage all of those clips. Next we're going to come to the sides and thread in our 3 screws. I've got my screw and a washer, using a Phillips head screwdriver to run it into those clips that we installed before. Do that same thing on the other side. Now we're going to take our white clips and reinstall them into these 2. We have new clips included in the kit. Do that same thing on the other side. Next we're going to reinstall our parking sensors. Once again, make sure you put them in the same order that you took them out. So I'm going to connect that in first, and then press that down into place. Pinch your tabs and make sure that they're locked into place. Repeat on the other side. Next we're going to take our reflectors and pop those into place. Push that clip in, thread your nut on, and tighten it down with a 10mm socket. And do the same thing on the other side. Now we can reinstall our reverse light. And we're going to thread in our screws with flat washers. And now we'll reconnect our reverse light and then press down on that white locking tab. Now we can reinstall that support bracket. Get my wire harness out from under it, and then we can engage it into those clips. And then I'll just clip in all those clips back into there. Got the two on the sides, and then the one for our reverse light. So now we're ready to throw our rear bumper on. I'm gonna plug in my one connector and then line up the bumper and slide it in. So now we're gonna start in the wheel well. We've got our 3 holes with clips there. We're gonna be using the top and the bottom hole. That middle one's gonna be for the pocket and the fender liner. So let's go ahead and get those screws started. And then take your 7mm socket to tighten them down. And then you can pop your fender liner down, and we'll get the rest of those screws. So now I'm gonna start up top with the screw that connects our bumper to the quarter panel. I'll take my 7mm socket, tighten it down. And then I'll just work my way down, thread in that next screw, as well as the one in the pocket. And then we can put our clip back at the bottom, and then we'll tighten those down with the 7mm socket as well. I'll just throw that short extension back on for the one in the pocket. And then repeat that process on the other side. Now we're gonna come over next to our muffler, bend that piece up, and reinstall our 2 clips. And then do the same on the other side. Now on the bottom, we're gonna be reinstalling our factory screws on the outside, as well as the 2 smaller ones over here. And then the 5 that go through the carpet, we're gonna be using those same screws with the flat washers included in the kit. So we're gonna thread that in and take a 7mm socket, tighten it. I'm just gonna pull that carpet out. And then we've got the 2 smaller ones. And then we're gonna grab our Phillips head screws with the flat washers and thread those into the U-clips that we installed earlier. So that'll wrap up this review and install of the EOS Performance Version 3 Package Rear Diffuser in matte black for your 2024 and newer Mustang. Thank you for watching, and for all things Mustang, keep it right here at AmericanMuscle.com.